it should say start and smile for recording, right? All yours, Ryan.
All right, thank you. All right, so going through our slides, just some of the updates application-wise. We've kind of leveled off a bit with applications. We've been running pretty even compared to 2020 at this point. Hoping that we see a little bit of an uptick. I know Joe will mention about some of the things that he's been doing to drive some traffic, so hopefully that'll kick up some applications as well. You'll see the other number that I report on is the 2021 grads. They keep trickling in. We keep getting a little bit more as that number keeps increasing. Still lagging behind the 2020 class, but that's not terribly surprising, but we do see those numbers keep trickling up a little bit. Head count. So here's our head count number as of the end of the day yesterday. We crossed 1900, so total head count is 1908, with the breakdowns in continuing, returning, transfer, and FIDIAC. You'll see there's our number compared to the fall 2020 head count. And on my next slide, here's where it shows the actual breakdown in comparison of fall 2021 as of yesterday versus fall 20. You'll see my head count numbers, credit hours, and billable credit hours. We're up 21% head count, 13% in credit hours, and 12% in billable compared to the fall 2020. As of July 7th, our fall 2021 head count is actually 2% up on fall 2019. So head count numbers are looking good even in comparison to 2 years ago pre-pandemic. The trend line and graphic at the top of the slide does kind of show kind of where that's heading. That we've been trending above or even with 19 for a little bit now, so hopefully we'll continue that and continue to push towards fall enrollment.
Sounds great.
So yeah, let me get started here with Michigan Reconnect, and I'll speak a little bit about those late June and into early July numbers as we look at it from an advertising standpoint. They tend to level off a little bit those last few weeks of June as attention is on other things, but we're working to bring that back as we come back from the 4th of July, as you'll see from some of these slides. So the Michigan Reconnect advertising program has been continuing. We started this back in January. I think January 24th is when we got everything up on the website and really started to build everything as far as the campaign goes. So our goal has been, first it was to reach, I think it was roughly 4,000 unique page views on the website, and then we reached that pretty quickly in May. And then the next goal we set was to reach 10,000 unique page views by the time classes start August 25th. We were up 217 last week. It's a little bit lower than the 285 we're hoping for. I did some things yesterday to really bolster that up organically. I sent out a big email to a lot of folks that are in our general email database in the community, and then did some social media stuff. So we did get it pretty close. But as you talked about, as I get in, here's some of the ads, by the way. These are all digital ads. We took a break at the last couple weeks of June because it's a fiscal year switch. We start to run out of funds. We've got to get back on board and retool our media campaign for the July 1 fiscal year. And it's the best time to do it because of the 4th of July weekend. People aren't paying much attention. And then we really cranked it back up on July 5th. So these are a lot of digital ads that are pushed wherever you go on the web. If you're in our demographic, you're going to see these things kind of following you around. But I want to bring this up. This is a slide of all of that tracks all of the unique page views and full page views for Michigan Reconnect as it started in February and goes all the way through July. You can see that we kicked this thing off. The governor announced it. We see all this wonderful traffic. We've been pushing traffic. Big spike here as summer classes started and that both registrations are going on, and then we continue that all the way through, and you see this lull as we get into the end of June. And hey, we're picking right right back up here. We did a major email for registration. So we're starting to pick that back up, getting back to our targets here of, in 75, 90, 100 unique page views a day, which is where we really want to be. Driving fall registration awareness. This is registration starting with the day that fall registration started on April 12th. You can see that as summer classes were starting, both registrations were going on as we hit May. We had a lot of page views today, sometimes spiking up to 200. When we hit spikes like this, you know that it's something that we're actively doing that's unique here in the marketing department. But we've stayed about 190, 75 hits per day on this registration page. These are all weekends, these divots here. No one is looking at this stuff on the weekends. It's every one of those is a Saturday and Sunday. And then you can see, boom, we sent out an email to 100,000 people the other day. Our campaign kicked back up all over digital. Our billboards are back up. Things are kicking up, and you can see the spike up to 400 and 500 per day, even through yesterday as well. You can look and see exactly what we were doing. These are people that came organically to the page through Google. These are people that directly came through. Now, this could be someone that saw it on a billboard or whatever. This was the email. 1,037 folks were driven to that registration page actually, these are combined. I think this is a situation where it comes in differently, but probably close to 1,700 there. We're also driving awareness, again, of our high demand programs. We really zeroed in on these about I think it's roughly 12 or 11 programs that are really our highest demand programs where we think we can build enrollment beyond what it already is. You can see some of these. These are digital ads. We have all kinds of other ads as well. And that campaign kicked back off as of July 1. And you can see this is the last week of activity going straight up. So sorry about that. I lost the slide there. Going straight up. And these are central display is web advertising that kind of follows you around based on your demographics and psychographics. These are Google or organic, etc. All the other stuff really hasn't started back up. That's picking back up today. We're doing some Google search and some other things, and we'll do some emails and direct mail, but we'll continue to hit those throughout July and August. So things are working. We can tell it's working because we have the data to tell us that it's working. And then if we see the data it shows us that it's not working so well, I go back and work with my agencies and my department to adjust things on the fly and make sure that we're doing the right things. And that's all I have.
Great work. You gotta love when data just shows you what's going on and is showing what's going on in other areas too. So great relations. Dr. Culler. And you'll be presenting for Tracy as well. I'll leave it up to you which you desired to do first.
Yeah, okay. Is everybody able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll start with the financial aid since this is about Michigan Reconnect and it's a nice transition from what Joe just presented. So we continue to see our FAFSA numbers climb for the 2021-22 year, and we do continue to see that more than 50% of our FAFSAs being completed are by the group of students who are 25 and older. So we know that the Michigan Reconnect and the Frontliners program have had a major impact on that for this year.
Boy, before you go, look at, isn't that nice that blip at the end there where you're increasing even more? Is that phone calls, stuff like that, impacting that too?
I think it really has to do with the traffic that's being driven from the Michigan Reconnect because the students are required to fill out the FAFSA and they're hearing about the Reconnect program. Right. And you know that the state of Michigan has their own set of Reconnect navigators that are assisting students before they even reach the college. Mm-hmm. So I believe that is also helping increase those FAFSA completion numbers for us.
I haven't heard much about the counselor assigned to us. Do you have any news on how that's going?
So no news is good news. So things are going really well. I think the reason that we're not hearing a lot from our Reconnect counselor is because between admissions and registrar and financial aid, we're actually doing so much proactively with this group of students that I think that oftentimes that we're actually even doing the outreach before the state of Michigan navigators are reaching the students.
Can we coordinate with them in any way so that we're giving them, here's students we would really like you to reach out to or anything like that? Is that possible?
I don't think so. We're assigned, our navigator is the lead navigator for this section of Michigan, which means that he is overseeing other navigators, and he's also assigned to Washtenaw. So in terms of the school and the size and the volume,
Right.
I don't think that we're going to get as much attention, perhaps, as the other institution.
Shoot me his info if you wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind just doing a reach out and seeing if we can't divert his attention down south a little bit.
I do think that we are doing very well, though.
Okay. Thank you.
So our Michigan Reconnect numbers continue to go up. What we are seeing as I compare the Reconnect roster from week to week is we have a group of students who have applied for Reconnect and still need to apply for admissions. And that group of students, those names tend to stay the same from roster to roster to roster. And that group of students has received multiple outreach from our school directly, with direct phone calls multiple times, email campaigns, letters. I think it's just a group of students who applied for the Reconnect program but not be ready to enter just yet this fall. What we are seeing, though, is the new names that are appearing on the roster every week. These are the students who are enrolling with us. So I believe what's happening is on the admissions side, as they're getting the admissions applications, the students are meeting with the advisors, we're really promoting the Reconnect program, and we're getting these students set up with the funding that they're going to need. So we'll have, obviously, this group of students who didn't matriculate for fall. It'll be a great group of students for us to try to recruit for winter.
Agreed. Thank you.
And then just a special thank you to Joe and his team, because I know that they've been doing so much to help us market the program. In terms of enrollment, we now have, for those students who have completed all of the eligibility steps to either be awarded the Michigan Reconnect or some other source of gift aid, such as Pell Grant in full, 55% of those students have enrolled with us. So we have 145 students who are all set to go but haven't registered yet. And we do continue to reach out to that group. And then just keeping an eye on the funding, you can see that we have awarded a lot of funds for frontliners in Michigan Reconnect. The standard process for awarding financial aid is we always make the assumption of full-time enrollment for fall and winter, and then obviously we'll reconcile the dollar amounts down as we get closer to the beginning of the school year and we know that students' schedules are set. One of the reasons that you see such a drastic difference between what is awarded versus the anticipated disbursement amounts is we are seeing that 83% of our frontliners in Reconnect are part-time students. And that's not surprising because it is an older group of students, and we know that this is a group of students who are probably working full-time, many have families, so there's a lot for them to balance for, between this and school. So that's it for the financial aid slides, and I will now pull up Tracy's. So for the registrar's office, they are working on making sure that students are taking the correct programs in their declared pathway. Their FIDIAC students are doing very well. That makes sense because our FIDIACs meet with an advisor to set their first semester of courses. So the registrar's office has really focused their efforts on continuing students who are taking courses outside of their program of study. They've implemented a weekly alert system that they started using for this upcoming fall semester. They've reached out to 135 students so far and have had incredibly positive results. This is also extremely helpful to the financial aid office because the U.S. Department of Education and the state of Michigan will only pay funds for classes that are required for students' programs. And so by the registrar's office doing this proactively, it's actually helped our office in financial aid quite a bit as well. And we're not having to make nearly as many phone calls to students to let them know that their aid would be reduced for taking classes that they don't need to complete the MCCC degree. So it's a really fantastic effort, and we are very appreciative of it. And then for their lead measure, they are looking to increase fall to winter and fall to fall retention rates by 2%. And as Tracy had mentioned, I think last week, they have met their goal. 61% of FIDIACs are registered for fall as of July 8th. They've been sending text messages and they are making phone calls. I know that just yesterday, Kessie was working on a whole series of phone calls to reach out to students who had been with us for fall, I think fall of 20, and were not registered yet. And so that those efforts are ongoing.
Those are just crazy numbers. That's just a total turnaround. I love watching that each week. Great work, team.